Alright, good evening, everyone. I'm Lonnie.
I'm Amberlicious.
And we are Untitled Nerd Network, brought to you by Infinity Flux out of Hicks, Tennessee. This is the newest episode of the X-Files. We're finally caught up. 4 episodes in, and this episode review is called The Lost Art of Forehead Sweat, which they referenced that earlier on in the episode. I can't remember exactly how. I don't want to mess it up.
Well, it's because that's how Mulder described him to Scully. He had a lot of excess forehead sweat.
So, this is the 4th episode of season 11. You know, kind of like their new revamped season. You know, the second time they've done it. Season 11 has actually been pretty sweet so far. I thought it was kind of a misstep, the first episode.
Yeah.
But these episodes keep getting better and better. Like, episode 2 was like a 9. Episode 3 was a 9.5 for me. And I'm just going to go ahead and get it out of the way that this episode was a perfect 10.
Oh, I'm sure it was.
This episode was a 10.
This was the subject matter that you were all about.
I have been looking forward to this episode. The episode did not disappoint. The episode had plenty of real-life references. I could relate to it. I related so much to it. It had, like, classic products. It had, I'm sure there was some kind of copyright reason why they couldn't do the Berenstain Bears.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a lot of copyright reasons they couldn't do a lot of things that are mentioned in the Mandela Effect.
Yeah. But they really went in depth on it. They spent the entire episode questioning past memories, internet conspiracies, real world events, just lots of stuff like that was going on. Also, remember we are broadcasting live, so if you're watching and you want to chime in, maybe you've seen the episode, maybe you've never watched the X-Files before,
or you have thoughts on the Mandela Effect. I mean, whatever.
Yeah, I'm more than willing to discuss the Mandela Effect in this review. But yeah, this particular episode was freaking amazing. They meet this guy named Reggie who claims to be he claims to have knowledge of some kind of a intricate plot where corporations and things are willing to pay money to have this doctor erase the memories or alter memories of large amounts of people for corporate gain or for political power or whatever. And like things start to add up, but at the same time, like they really have that idea of you could actually tell people the truth, but
they still won't believe it.
If you do it in like a kooky way or a weird way that, you know, it's gotten to where nobody believes anything anymore. Like it doesn't matter what you say now. It doesn't matter what. And it was like, I was telling somebody the other day, we're going to get kind of off subject, but I think that's the nature of this episode. I'm not even mad. I asked somebody the other day, did I ask you about the $1 million versus the alien? And I basically, okay, just imagine this.
Yeah, because I'm not gonna, my answer really shocked me.
I'm not going to do the million, but let's say somebody puts in front of you 2 suitcases. One of them has $1,000 cash. The other one is proof positive, undeniable proof of the existence or non-existence of extraterrestrial life. If it exists, here's the proof. If it doesn't exist, here's the proof. And which one would you pick? The $1,000 or the or the proof? And I actually thought about it, and some people had told me, you know, some discussion and stuff like that. And if you had undeniable proof of something that major, half of the population still wouldn't believe it.
Oh, yeah.
Even with absolute proof.
That was what I told you.
Yeah.
I was like, that proof ain't worth nothing to me.
Because there's some people whose livelihoods would be threatened by that. And there are so many people, so many powerful people even, who the proof of extraterrestrial life would completely screw them over. So they're going to do everything within their power to convince the population, no, that is not the case. The dude's full of crap. And there's even people who
like
would
we
be willing to...
discussed on the phone, you know. It would have to be, because, you know, Lonnie asked me $1 million. I was like, that's crazy. I'm going to take $1 million. He keeps going lower.
Yeah, $1,000 is...
And lower. And I told
reasonable.
him, it's probably going to have to be less than $100 before I take it. Because it's really worth nothing to me. Proof is worth nothing. And it's like I told him.
I don't...
And like he's saying, half the population ain't going to believe it anyway. It don't matter.
Me personally, I would just want to know.
Mm-hmm. I think I could benefit. Here's the thing, though. You would not benefit from personally knowing. It would drive you crazy. People did not believe you.
And if somebody knew I had undeniable proof, I'd probably end up getting killed over it.
And then I'd be very sad. So there's that.
Yeah, I mean, like they find this guy named Reggie who is like in on all this. He knows that these people are working on it and everything. And so over the course, the sequence where they inserted him into the old episodes, there was about a 5-minute sequence.
That was so funny.
Where they like added him. No, it's okay. There was a sequence where they added him into all of the like classic like season 1 episodes, season 2 episodes.
That was funny. That was so funny.
Like when they first met, and it's funny because
he was like, I used to be y'all's partner, you know, and
it was him and Mulder, and then Scully showed up.
Yeah,
and I mean, it really makes you think because Mulder had a episode of the Twilight Zone.
Oh yes,
his first Twilight Zone episode he had ever watched from way back when, and come to find out, it was like a knockoff series that he had watched.
A lot of people believe that for a long time.
Really?
Yeah, that's actually a thing.
I did not know that.
Mm-hmm. A lot of people believe that for a long time, and then they found out it was a knockoff.
What, a Twilight Zone episode? I didn't know that was a legit theory.
That was legit theory, yes.
Wow. Interesting.
But anyway.
Well, see, it was funny because Scully was talking about that Jell-O dessert. Mm-hmm. And, you know, she was like, oh, people keep telling me it's Jell-O 1, 2, 3. And the first thing that popped into my mind was Jell-O 1, 2, 3 does exist, didn't it? Like, didn't it exist? Yeah, and I had to go look it up to make sure because I was like, I remember seeing that stuff. And it seems like I even did a post on the page, like in the first 6 months the page was up, of like a lot of 80s and 90s products that don't exist anymore. And I could have swore I posted that. Now, I did. But that's the kind of effect the Mandela Effect has.
Because it's like, okay, when Mulder had all that stuff on the wall and was trying to retrace everything, and it showed the Bob Dylan Grammy performance and the soy bomb dude, I was like, wait a minute. No, that happened.
What are you talking about?
Do you not remember that? It was at the 1998 Grammys. Bob Dylan performed, and like he had an interpretive dancer hired.
Okay. And
when he got up there, he took off his shirt and he had soy bomb written across him, and he was doing this like interpretive dance stuff. So I was like, wait a minute, that happened, and I looked it up before we got on here because on the show, Mulder's like, but there's no video proof. Oh, no, there's video proof on YouTube, and it's all over Wikipedia. Okay, good. I was like, wait a second. I know that happened.
I mean, here's the thing.
But it's like you said, the Mandela Effect, once things have been pointed out, makes you question stuff like that. Did it really happen?
Makes you question everything.
And you're just like you looked up the Jell-O 1, 2, 3. I mean...
Yeah, because I was like, I know it exists. I know I've seen it recently. But then again, I still swear on everything that what is now Berenstain Bears used to be Berenstein, like EIN. I swear, and here's the reasoning. Because when I was younger, I always pronounced things how they were spelled. And I sometimes caught a lot of flack for it because think about how many words are, pronounced differently from what they're spelled. But the one thing they say now, and I wish I had this argument back when I was a kid, was anybody who mispronounces a word means that they got it from reading, so that's not necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, I always pronounced it Berenstein Bears because it was EIN. That's all I got. I'm just.
Well, I've
I'm
always
just going
remembered
by
it as Burstein, so there you go. It's just word from alternate universes. I don't know.
Now the whole genie thing with the Shazam and Kazam.
I thought that was a thing.
I remember the shack, the one that it really exists.
I remembered the shack, but I really thought the Sinbad one was a thing too. Like, I remember seeing that and thinking, oh, that's a complete ripoff of that movie.
Yeah.
But it never existed.
What'd you think? It was like a, you remember how like used to, and they still do it to some extent. Mm-hmm. But whenever like, like whenever Twister was a really big movie, and like Fox put out like 4 or 5 made-for-TV tornado movies to try to capitalize on the.
Yeah, TV did that all the time. It'd make something similar to what was the big blockbuster,
Or like you would see like whenever Aladdin came out in theaters, and you went to Walmart and there were like 4 or 5 like low-budget Aladdin cartoons on VHS or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And like,
so yeah, that's because of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why.
Maybe, but
I don't know. That's kind of weird.
That's one thing that I personally, the first time I ever heard of the Sinbad version was during Mandela Effect.
When it all came to life.
Yeah, I was like, that's one that and it seems like.
Isn't that strange though? Because a lot of the ones that you don't remember, I do.
Yeah.
But you know that, and I thought that was a real thing. Isn't that odd?
It is.
Wow.
And
we are from alternate universes.
The reason it's named the Mandela Effect is because a lot of people remember Nelson Mandela dying in prison as like a political prisoner back in the 1980s. Me,
I thought he had to. I ain't gonna lie.
I'm kind of on the fence about that because on one hand, it seems like I remember that, but on the other hand, I remember very recently thinking, I remember seeing where he was released from prison, I'm pretty sure, in the news, because I read the news all the time. Mm-hmm. And number 2, I remember thinking to myself that at some point when he dies, there's no way Morgan Freeman is not going to play him in a movie. And didn't Morgan Freeman eventually play him in a movie? Just recently, or?
I don't know.
That's probably something else for the effect.
Right. But I remember thinking that when he finally got released from prison, though. Thinking, I could have sworn he'd already died in there.
Yeah.
Like, I really felt like I had seen reports.
Maybe that's what it was. Maybe when he was released, I thought he was dead and never knew that he was still alive. But now the memories have kind of fixed themselves since. I don't know. But anyway, back to the episode.
Yeah.
It's funny because they ended up inserting this guy Reggie into all these different episodes, classic episodes, and eventually they meet up, and they meet the doctor or whatever who claims to have done all this.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, let's talk about that because like Mulder goes to talk to him, and then nothing else is ever said about him. It's like it didn't even happen.
Yeah. That
was the craziest part of this episode.
Yeah, because like the last 5 minutes of the episode, no more mention. And it's funny because at the very end, Scully finds like I guess a medical or like a case note on Reggie about how he hopped from one government job to the other, and he was doing surveillance with the NSA, and then he was. He eventually found Mulder and Scully's conversations with each other and kind of inserted himself into that and all this. And so this group, which I'll already tell you, something didn't make any sense to me whenever the loony bin people show up in the like 1940s ambulance with a straight jacket and a big net.
Oh, that was
a little over the top.
That was. The whole thing at the end was over the top.
But it was meant to be.
The thing is like, here's the funny thing, is like, they met in that garage several times. And
they kept coming back to get him.
Every time, the sirens. But then they would verbally say, well, sounds like your ride is here.
Yeah.
So you almost wonder, did they see the crazy people taking him away the whole time and we didn't? Or what? Because just the way they casually said, well, sounds like your ride is here.
Every single time.
Every single time. And they didn't really run.
No, they just stood there and watched everything.
Yeah. So it makes...
Look, I'm going to go ahead and go on record. I'm going to go ahead and say that when this comes out on like DVD and Blu-ray, we're going to have to get this season. I'm going to have to watch this episode again. Because
I feel like if we watch it again, it's going to be completely different. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, and
this video is going to be our proof that we watched it a certain way.
Yeah, and this episode, I mean, I'm just getting out of the way. This episode was a 10.
Yeah.
This episode was easily a 10. Like this episode ventured into 11 territory.
Yeah.
For me.
It wasn't quite an 11, just because it was very over the top.
Yeah, but to me, this is weird
definitely.
Because I love scary X-Files. I love conspiracy X-Files. But I've grown since I've gotten older to really love the over-the-top, funny, weird, off-the-wall X-Files episodes.
Oh, yeah.
The ones that
but
when I was a kid...
I always liked those when I was a kid, too, though.
I didn't.
The ones that were kind of, and when it showed, like, their humor...
Yeah.
Because it made them.
Well, Mulder, David Duchovny does really well with humor.
He does.
From the time he was like in his 20s to now.
Yeah.
He's
does always amazing. Been really good. And no matter what he's been in.
Scully is really good as like the straight one to his, and they just complement each other so well.
Yes.
But yeah, I absolutely love this. There's really nothing about this episode I didn't like. It was just so crazy and so over the top and fun to watch. God, it was so much fun.
God, when they asked him before they took him off in the ambulance at the end. Okay, so how did our last adventure end?
Yeah, they told him the story, or he told them the story of the alien that showed up. And where did the book go? That was my first thought.
That was my first thought.
I honestly expected somebody to come walking by with it or something. It's almost like they've suddenly forgotten about it.
The thing is like, he told them, but he's obviously crazy and it really didn't happen.
Yeah.
Supposedly. Because what happened at the end?
But yeah, what threw it off is after they drive him off in this like loony bin ambulance, like Skinner walks out with his briefcase, I guess at the end of his day. And he looks over and sees him driving off with the dude in the back. And he was like, hey, why'd you let him take Reggie?
Yeah,
so like he's known him.
With Reggie. He was so upset and serious and like, wow. He was.
I don't know.
What do you think of Reggie?
But like I said, this episode was great. A perfect 10 to me.
10 for me too. It was really good.
I think it's neat how this season started out kind of sort of mediocre.
Yeah.
And went from like, what did I grade it? Like a 7 to begin with?
Yeah, you graded it with 7. I did an 8 on that one.
7 to 9 to 9.5 to like an 11. And I'm really curious as to what Wednesday night's episode's going to be. We may be able to watch it live and do a review. I don't know.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, we'll see if the login works. So, but yeah,
it should work. Yeah. Login. But anyway.
Whew. But yes, excellent episode.
Because we could talk about this episode another 30 minutes.
Yeah, we could. Like usually, it's funny because the longer the review is, typically the better the episode was.
Oh yeah.
So all right, well we're gonna go ahead and wrap with 20 minutes or so, and we'll be back. We're gonna try Wednesday to do a live after the episode review. We're gonna try. We'll see. We'll see how the
See
login
what happens.
info works and everything. I'll be on tomorrow playing Red Dead Redemption, since that was fairly popular today.
Yay!
We almost broke 100 views for the first time in a minute. So, Red Dead Redemption, and then Wednesday night, possibly X-Files. We'll see.
Yay!
But anyway, everybody, thanks for watching. I'm Lonnie.
I'm Amberlicious.
And we are Untitled Nerd Network, brought to you by Infinity Flux out of Hickson, Tennessee. Remember, also, you can enter to win that date at Conuga with Single Sarah. Donate $10 to the Humane Educational Society at heschat.org/donate down in the video description. Also, remember, you can enter to win that Nintendo Switch by subscribing, being one of our first 1,000 subscribers, and entering our contest at unnprizes.com. We'll see everybody tomorrow for Red Dead Redemption, and then hopefully Wednesday night for another episode of the X-Files. Everybody have a good rest of the night. Thank you for watching.